Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, we are going to be finding out what happens if Arthur returns to Thomas Downs' ranch after he kills him. So by now, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the story of Thomas Downs, but in case you aren't, Thomas Downs takes a loan from Herr Strauss from the gang. And essentially what Arthur does is he has to go reclaim that debt. And when he goes to reclaim that debt for the first time, Thomas Downs is noticeably weak and actually has tuberculosis. And this cutscene occurs.
You borrowed money from my business partner, Herr Strauss. You owe him, you took the money. He wants it back, what's not to understand? Where's our money?
I don't have it.
Sell your place.
We already owe more than it's worth.
Then sell your wife, or your family, or something. We ain't your idea of charity. Is that clear?
Thomas!
What are you looking at?
Thomas!
I said what you looking at, woman.
My husband isn't well. If we could just have more...
Like I said, we ain't nobody's idea of charity. Get us the money.
So that is the exact moment when Arthur actually contracts tuberculosis, and then a couple of weeks, maybe a month later in Chapter 3, you actually return to the Downs' ranch, where you will find Thomas's wife, Edith Downs, and his son, Archie, leaving the ranch.
My husband's not cold in the ground and you've come back here. Archie, I nearly paid off what was owed.
Your husband knew the rules when he took that money. Now, I'm real sorry about the way things turned out. But he had a choice. Ain't my fault about the way the world is.
He didn't have a choice. He was good and he did good. There wasn't no choice in that. And you as good as killed him yourself, and don't kid yourself. You had a choice.
You speak as if killing was something I cared about.
You ever wonder about eternity? You should.
I hope it's hot and terrible, Mrs. Downs. Otherwise, I'll feel I've been sold a false bill of goods. Now, please, give me that money. Either you got a lazy eye or lack of respect. Which is it, boy?
I ain't got no lazy eye. No respect for the likes of you.
Well, maybe when your mother's finished mourning your father, I'll keep her in black, on your behalf. You think on that, boy?
Well, maybe you shall, sir. And maybe other events will transpire.
You best stick to them books, because mark my words on this. Vengeance is an idiot's game. Ah, Mrs. Downs, thank you for your punctuality. It's next to godliness, isn't it?
That's cleanliness.
I'll have to take your word on that. Good day.
Now, after that moment, that is the final time in which the Downs Ranch is used in a mission in Red Dead Redemption 2. So I wanted to figure out what would happen if you returned after that event. Now, before we do that, let's start before that event. So before the mission Americans at Rest, which is one of the first few missions in the game, you can actually find Thomas Downs in Valentine. He'll actually be advertising his charity. I think it's like the New Hanover something. Whatever the case is, he's looking for donations for the poor.
You get a lot of money doing this?
Not much, but it's the trying that counts.
If you say so.
Well, I do. Who do you help?
I'll help you learn to keep your mouth closed.
Sorry, sir. Come on, please. Please, somebody, be generous. Show you care. Come on, please, somebody.
So Thomas Downs is clearly not at his ranch, but I still wanted to go there and see, what was going on there. What is life like at the Downs Ranch? And when I arrived for the first time, I was expecting to see Edith and Archie just sort of hanging out. However, I didn't see either of them. Instead, I found a mysterious person in this sort of goat pen. And I guess the Downs Ranch is similar to Pronghorn Ranch, whereas the Downs are the owners, but they have ranch hands to help them out with the tasks around the farm. Now, this rancher was none too pleased about running into me. In fact, I was very pleasant with him, but he decided to aim a gun at me, so I decided he needed to get hog tied up. Now, I wanted to check out the rest of this place to see if Edith and Archie were still here. I checked out this big barn that had a couple of provisions, but they were not in there. There was also a pig pen. There was a couple of other places I wanted to check out as well. And believe it or not, I had actually never been inside of the Downs' ranch, so this gave me an opportunity to actually check it out for the first time. And there was a couple of things you could open, like some chests and whatnot, but there's actually not a lot in here. There's a cigarette card that you can grab. There's some wardrobes you can open. There is one chest in the back that will actually contain some rifle cartridges. It'll contain like a coin purse and some pocket watches. But for the most part, that's about it. The only unique thing I was able to find in here was this like Wild West Heroes book, number 132. And I think this is just a collectible that you can grab for Jack Marston. So I don't think that's all that special. So the Downses were not in here, which I fully expected them to be. I know Thomas Downs is in Valentine, but I did not expect him to be back here. But I definitely expected his wife and son to be on the ranch, and they were not. Now, what's kind of strange is after all of this, I decided to actually return to Valentine. Maybe there would have been some unique interaction with Thomas Downs where you would talk to him, he would talk to you, and you would say, hey, I was just at your ranch. But unfortunately, when I went back to Valentine, he was not there. He was not in that spot. So maybe after you talk to him, he leaves or he goes off to do something else. Again, I'm not too sure. So what I wanted to do next was actually flash forward to a save after that encounter in Chapter 3, where you meet Edith and Archie for the final time at the Downs Ranch. And so what I did is we flash forward, and now this is what the Downs Ranch looks like afterwards. Now, on the surface level, it doesn't look all that different, but there are some pretty big differences. The first difference is you'll actually find a grave for Thomas Downs. Now, what's interesting here is his name is spelled wrong. Now, I don't know if this was an oversight by Rockstar or if this was done intentionally, like whoever buried him either A, didn't care enough to figure out what his name was because he was that insignificant of a rancher or a farmer, or number two, if this shows whoever put his grave in the ground or put the tombstone there maybe was illiterate, didn't know how to read, write, or spell. Or again, maybe it's just a simple error from Rockstar. It says Thomas Downs. His name is just supposed to be spelled D-O-W-N-E-S, not D-O-W-N-S. So that's kind of interesting right there, and that is where apparently Thomas Downs is buried. So that's the first big change right there. The next big change is that the ranch looks to have been abandoned. So you remember the first time we were here, there was a couple of ranch hands, there was a ton of farm animals, there was a dog. Well, none of that is here anymore. All the animals are gone, the ranch hands are gone, the dogs are gone, the barns, the pens are completely empty. There's nothing here at all. So I wonder if this was done intentionally from Rockstar or if this is just sort of an accidental change. It would be cool if it was intentional because it would go to say that the Downs, since they moved out and are no longer ranchers, they don't have their animals and are no longer employing people. That would certainly make the most sense. Now, the next thing I wanted to do, just because I was insanely curious, is I wanted to see if you could destroy the grave of Thomas Downs. And so I started firing at it with a shotgun. That didn't seem to do anything. And so I thought, okay, maybe some dynamite will do the trick, but that didn't seem to do anything either. So it was a little bit interesting that this tiny wooden tombstone could not be destroyed by dynamite, but either way, kind of cool right there. So you can sort of like darken his grave, but that is about it. Now, I wasn't done yet. I wanted to see what would happen. So we just returned as Arthur, but what happens if we returned in the epilogue as John Marston? Would it be completely different? So I loaded up my save as John Marston and I returned to the farm. And when I returned, things seemed to be back to normal. If I had to take a guess, I would say that a new set of farmers moved in and started occupying the land. Now, nothing about the land seems to be all that different, but animals have returned. Pig pens have been refilled. The dog is there. There is an angry rancher that is upset with us. Now, the inside of the house and everything about the ranch, again, is all the same. The grave of Thomas Downs is still there, after all. But it is interesting to note that it looks like during the epilogue, someone then returns, which would make sense because that is valuable farm property just a couple of feet from Valentine. So it would make sense that someone would take over the land and would try to re-inhabit it. But anyways, that right there is what happens if you return to Thomas Downs' ranch after you kill him in Red Dead Redemption 2. Unfortunately, there's not like a spirit of Thomas Downs floating around, and it was kind of unfortunate that his wife and son weren't there either, but it was still pretty cool to check that out. You can find his grave and a whole lot more. Anyways, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought about this experiment and everything else we did in this video. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.